Hello Ks3, Mr. Holmes with a video talking about all the concepts and ideas you need to understand about spreadsheets for your test coming up at the end of this term. We begin by reminding you that spreadsheets are really a grid. It's a table, and each block or value in the spreadsheet is called a cell. Each cell has a unique address or place where it lives, and you'll remember hopefully that the spreadsheet we talk about the rows which go across and columns which go vertically or up and down. Now let's put all these ideas together. So if I'm talking about the cell where the label iPhone 6 or the text iPhone 6 happens in, you'll see that the address value over there in the name box is in fact B3. That's easy to figure out. Why? Because the cell is always addressed by taking the column which goes down, so it's iPhone 6 is in column B, and that intersects or joins with row 3, and so the address location for the label iPhone 6 is in fact B3. Whereas the label, or rather what is the value in cell C5? Alright, that's easy enough. So I find column C and I find row 5, and so the value of C5 is £195. Now spreadsheets take values which you can place in your cells and interpret them in a certain way, and there are two broad ways that the spreadsheet will interpret the values in the cells. So values in cells are either going to be interpreted as either 1, it's going to see them as numbers of some format, or it's going to see it as some form of writing which we call text or a label. Text or label. Right, so how do we know the difference? Well, the way in which spreadsheet handles things automatically for us is that if the value that the cell is containing is interpreted as a number, it will put it up against the right hand side of the cell. We call that right justified. So let's have a look at that. So numbers are always normally right justified. Text, on the other hand, is normally left justified. So you'll see that all the bits of writing along top of here, which are the column labels, item number, description, price, QTY for quantity and total, all these cell values are on the left hand side, as is the label average, as is the label total, and everything in the description column as well are all left justified because they've been treated as text. On the other hand, all the values in column A under item number, all the prices and all the quantities are right justified because they are being treated as numbers. The final aspect of this video is to deal with the very important concept, is what makes spreadsheets powerful, which is the use of formula. Formula, the plural for the word formula is formulae. Now formulas are really nothing more than automatic calculations. They are calculation rules that we can set up that the spreadsheet will always follow and in turn calculate every time I change a value in a cell. Now these calculation rules do not use the values as such. Instead, they look at the cell addresses. We use the cell address or the cell reference number when we build this formulae. And the other most important thing you need to remember is that they always have to start with an equal sign. A formula must always start or begin with an equal sign. So without further ado, let's get on to building some formula for this spreadsheet. So, to start off with, let's do a quick calculation here, where I'm going to want to multiply the price of the phone that I have by the number of phones that I have in stock. In this case, I'm going to multiply for the Samsung 239.8 times by 4. So to begin, remember, we must always start with an equals. And now I'm not interested in the numbers themselves, but I'm more interested with the position or the boxes, the cells that they're in. So the price of the Samsung is in cell C2. So that's what I'm interested in. So I say, right, take the value that's in the box or the cell C2 and times it. And then multiplication in computing is done with the asterisk. So that means take the value in C2 and times it by, what do I want to times it by? I want to times it by the value in cell D2, the quantity of 4 in this case. So I go D2, and at this point I can press enter. And there we have it. Now, you may ask, why did I not go to 9.98 star 4? Well, the answer to that question is that I can now, because I now have a formula or calculation, I can go back and change these values and my spreadsheet will continue to work without me having to change anything else. So for example, let's suppose I've sold one of my phones, one of the Samsungs, and my quantity now drops to 3. I can automatically change the 4 to 3. I can change the 4 to 3 and automatically that has been recalculated. Likewise, I could change the 3 back to a 4 and the calculation will continue to work. Right, moving on. Let's do the same calculation for the iPhone 6. So, work along and let's see if you can remember how to do it. So we start with what? We start with an equals. We then take the value of the price for the iPhone, which is in cell, it's in row 3, but column C. So we go column first, column C3. Right, remember the cell row number. I'm not interested in the item number. Don't get confused by the item number. I'm talking about the row number. So C3, how do we do multiplication? Asterisk or star, which is shift 8 on your keyboard, by D, and it's going to be D3 again. Everything on this row, if I'm keeping the calculation going along this row, the row number will continue to remain 3, and all the way through I'm going to be multiplying column C by the value of column D. Right, let's do the LG. So equals, and now I'm going to be in column C. Which row am I on? I'm on row 4, so C4, star for multiplier, times by the value of the quantity, which is in column D, and again I am still on row 4, D4. Finally, equals for the Sony, I am taking the value in column C, and I am in row 5, and I am timesing it by value in column D, 5 percenter. Right, now there is a better way to do what I'm about to show you, but for the purposes of explaining how calculations work and getting familiar with some of the operators, we're going to do it the long way. So the total, I'm going to simply add up the total of the totals, which means I need to start with an equals. And what do I want to add up? I want to add up everything in column E. The first value in column E that I want to add up is on row 2. So that's where I start. So I'm going to go E2 and plus, I can just do a normal addition with the plus. To that I'm going to add, I'm going to stay in column E, but I'm going to move down. E3, and you'll notice that as I'm moving through, E4 adding on, moving on, adding E5. As I'm moving down, the row numbers simply get one bigger, but I stay in column in column E. Press enter, and there's my calculation. The final calculation we're going to look at in this video is how to calculate the average. So to calculate the average, I need to do two things, and the first thing I need to do is I need to get the sum of all the values, and then I need to divide it by the number of items that I have. In this case, I'm going to work out the average price. Now, because I have 4 items, it means I need to add up those 4 items and divide by 4. Yes, there is a built-in function that does it for me, but for the purposes of understanding how calculations work, I want to do it the long way. So we're in column C, so I'm going to go to C. Notice I'm using brackets, and we'll come back to why I'm doing that in a minute. So it's going to be C2 plus C3 plus C4 plus C5, close brackets. That will give me the sum. And I need to take the sum, which I have to work out first, that's why I need the brackets, and then in turn divide the sum by 4. I do division on the computer by using the slash. So that means add up C2, C3, C4, C5, the sum of those cells divided by 4, and that in turn gives me the average. And that concludes the video, detailing everything you need to know for your upcoming test. Thanks for watching. This time signing out.